Everybody, I've got Phil here. One of our clients recently came on board, I think in early April, if that's right, Phil.
Yep.
But then he's 100% winner. He earned it. So in pretty short fashion. So I wanted to open the floor and let Phil get a chance to tell the story and kind of debrief how woobie got him there. So Phil, take it away.
Okay. All right. So my name's Philip Trino, and like you said, I got back on with M2M in April. I heard about it from a friend. My wife's friend referred me to it. So really, once I started, I got my checklist after I kind of did the initial talk with Doc, and then I got linked up with Devin, my personal success representative. So he helped me out with a checklist and kind of helped me a lot with getting ready for all my appointments. And the big thing for me was he sent me the mental health um, kind of like a how to better understand the symptoms for it. And when I had my appointment with Valor Psychology, I kind of just used that guide that kind of helped me kind of put into words better like some of the symptoms that I was feeling for the mental health part. Um,
Yeah, and that's one thing I've noticed, and even being in myself for long enough, it's not fun to talk about, and a lot of times we suppress it at a if you're not a physician or something like that, you don't really know the psych words that to describe what's going on. Also, in our community, it's not something you really want to talk about, right? Like, being resilient and kind of shoving it down is what we're trained to do and why we're good at what we do, right? So, I think part of it is kind of getting rid of that stigma and being able to get things done, but also know how the VA looks at it. And I think that's what we do well, and what Valor obviously does well too. But it's not coming out up with stuff out of thin air. It's just telling the truth and your story to people that are able to hear it and turn it into what the VA needs. You know what I mean? So there's a disconnect between a lot of folks who, make their claims when they first get out or don't know anything about claims, and they're missing out because realistically, it's not that difficult if you just know what you're doing and know how to verbalize the symptoms, because it's all about impact, right? That's how the VA lumps it all together. So, when you first came on board, and obviously I know you through a friend and all that stuff, your wife and one of my friends got us together through woobie, formerly M2M. But I think you're at what, 10% at that point?
yeah, I was 10%, I think, for tinnitus or something like that.
Kind of classic. And so at 10%, you want to tell everybody how much you were making per month with a tinnitus 10% rating back then?
I think it was 175 a month, so
Right.
170.
And then you came on board in like early April. By the time we, dotted the I's, crossed the T's, got you onboarded, did our forms, and kind of took you in. I think it was like middle of April, more or less. Now here it is. We're in July, but I think you got your rating in like late June, is what I
Yeah.
saw in the ratings decision letters. You got to 100%. So now how much are you making, if you don't mind me asking, just to tell our audience kind of the difference between 10% and 100%?
So now I have 3 dependents right now, my wife, 2 of my children, and then I'm working on my stepchildren. But so
Mhm.
right now I'm getting 4,300 a month. So I mean it's a
Game
huge.
changer.
It
Game
is.
changer. I mean, tax free, and that's just the compensation.
Yeah.
Also, that's this is actually very important, is the permanent and total, like being like that's what you got as well. And a lot of people ask questions, well, what if I get 100% and not permanent and total? That's almost, a red herring. It never happens, more or less. If we get people to 100%, so far, knock on wood, everyone has gotten permanent and total. So it's forever. You don't have to go reevaluate with the VA to keep arguing this stuff. It's done. And that's why, to me, the stress of getting that done and never having to deal with that system again, because it's an awful system.
Yeah.
Even though I know it well, I'm not going to, sugarcoat it. It's the VA disability system is flawed. Good people in the VA for the most part, but it's a flawed government system. And we all know, because we've been in the military, we know how it goes, right? But the truth is that, in 2 months, you went and got basically a $4,000 increase per month. I was going to ask you, how much did you pay to sign up for woobie? How much did we charge you?
So I paid. It was a 3,000 flat rate, and it's the way you guys explained it. You just pay it the one time, and then you guys will work to get to 100%.
Right. And see, we've structured it more like a membership, right? Because there's no guarantees how this stuff works. Anybody that promises, oh, all you need is this fancy one document, it'll work. Now, in your case, you won pretty easily. A lot of people, it'll grind out for a long time, and we keep combating it. So, the difference between what we do at woobie and other companies is we don't sucker people in with like free, right? It costs money and it's worth it. And you, like, in 1 month, you more than paid for what it costs. So you're already in the positive. We don't take back pay. We don't do any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So do you want to speak to that and the value that we brought you as far as cost versus benefit?
No, I mean, I was talking about it with my wife too, just because just paying that up front, which is not a lot, because I've heard other services kind of like this one will take a percentage of your back pay and they'll take a percentage amount, but no, the 3,000, just paying it up front like that. I mean, it's nothing, because you have the 100% PNP for the rest of your life. So, I mean, that's, like you said, in that first month alone, I think I got a month of back pay. So, I mean, just the back pay alone more than covered what I had initially paid you guys. And then after that, it's like that amount of money every month is just such huge help for our family. And it makes
Absolutely.
a big difference.
And when you add it up, I don't want to get too much into the nuts and bolts of it, but how old are you right now? Are you 30 something, or how old are you?
I'm 31.
31. So let's say you live to be on the low end. Let's say you live to be 71, right? That is, which I hope you live a lot longer than that. But that's 40 years of COLA adjusted. I mean, it's going to go up with inflation as it goes up, obviously, over time. That's 50 plus or more $1,000 a year for 40 years. Start to do the math. It gets wild. And that's just the compensation. Being 100% permanent in total, you also get tax breaks, right? Property tax exemptions, different kind of educational benefits. Your family, and I know your wife's, active duty, all that stuff, but your kids and everybody else can get secondary insurances through Champ VA. So we're talking healthcare too. Like, this adds up to, and we used to be called Milton Millions. I people would laugh at that name a little bit sometimes, but it's true, right?
Yeah.
You now have a pension that you didn't have before. And that's the way I look at disability ratings, is the folks who didn't do 100% couldn't finish it, just couldn't grit and bear it because it was awful. Life's falling apart, tough times. People that didn't stick out 20 got nothing. So now look at you. You now have a pension, which you earned, in my opinion, of the time in. So it's really a game changer. I think, to a lot of people, again, it's the difference in structure. We try to be very transparent. And I know the word transparent, accountability and stuff's all in the news and stuff right now for sure with our government, but we practice what we preach. There's no hidden nonsense. Yeah. To a lot of people, that's a lot of money. And it is. It is to me too. $3,000, that's a chunk of change. But we're honest with it. And so people like you, some people will get up to, like, let's say 90% with their first effort claim. So we still do work with them to get them to 100%, because I'm super competitive and that's our ethos, right? But it pays for itself so quickly. And we have, the results to back it up now. We're over 1,000 clients. Our average first time rating, once we touch people's claims, is over 90%, which is wild to me. Like, it's almost like I recheck these numbers. I'm like, is this accurate? And it's literally over 90% once we touch it. And I'm knock on wood, it ebbs and flows, but like that's life changing. And that's what we want to do, is really, in our community, it's word of mouth, right? So like a guy like you, if we treat people right, because it's the right thing to do, golden rule, but also it's a business too. But like, we're not marketing to everybody, right? Not everybody needs a VA disability claim or work in that realm. But if you've had a good experience, I know that you'll, on your own, talk to people about helping your buddies. That's how it works. That's how I work. That's how everybody I know works. Like, you trust the people you trust, because we don't trust very many people, right? And I'm speaking for the community, but I think that's a pretty solid truth.
It is, yeah. And I think how you were saying, just you guys are very straight up and honest about everything. I think all the documents, like I got even from you, I think it was the kind of like the onboarding part of the onboarding document, your strategy overview. I think that helped a lot, just breaking down a lot of like the different claims, like mental health, migraines, like reading all that stuff. Just, it helped me understand a lot more about kind of how the VA works and what they look for. And like you said, you guys are very upfront and honest about everything. So I felt, between you and then reaching out to Devin, with any questions, like I felt supported the whole time, and I felt like I had all the help that I needed. So
That's good to hear. And, again, we're always looking to improve, and I'm looking to improve. And, yours, again, it's sometimes seems very variable. We do a lot of claims, and if you zoom out enough, they kind of look alike, and it's hard to predict what the VA is going to do. You had a great outcome in a short time frame. So, is everybody going to get it in 2 months? Probably not, obviously, but some people do. And you're an example of that. It's not just us, kissing our own ass or making things up out of thin air. That's why we do these interviews, because it makes me very happy. I like winning. And I think, I like sharing individual stories rather than just like talking about ourselves all day. But we believe in what we do, and what we do works. And I think part of that is, like you said, there's a strategy to it with truth and above board documentation, which it's sad that you have to have a strategy against your own VA, against your own government, to basically argue and like not be gaslit by the medical government legal institution, because that's what it is. Because there's $6-7 billion paid out last year. Like, they know what they're doing. That's why they squeeze these ratings. They want to appear to be helping veterans, which they do, but they also don't want to consistently acknowledge the situations, right? Because it costs them billions of dollars. But that's how it goes, right? Like, they set the rules, they set these programs. All we do is shed light on the truth and document the truth with third parties, your old medical record, your personal stories. We get you the right people if there's gaps. That's why we do the onboarding form, because it's like a review of systems. It's like, hey, what's going on in your world? Yes or no, do you have this symptom, this, that, or the other? Then we use, we're getting pretty slick at it, because we're using not only just experience, which we have lots of, and myself too, it's a team, not just me, but we use predictive analytics. We're building an entire platform right now. And that's what I kind of wanted to share with you and everybody else. I mean, you don't need it anymore, but like for your friends or, your wife, if she ever needs help with this stuff, or anybody that's listening to this, we're setting up an entire platform to basically use AI. It's really predictive analytics, AI/predictive analytics, to guide us with what the VA does, because we have so much data, not just our data, but VA data too, because they publish some of it. It's like input, output. And so where is the high value? And that's where the strategy comes from, right? And that's what I think a lot of us learn, is that, they kind of the VA traps people by giving them low or moderate ratings and hoping they'll never come back through that painful system again. But if you've been down the rabbit hole, so to speak, and seen the belly of the beast like I have, and we have, you just know where the value is. Where migraines or GI issues or sleep apnea or behavioral health or certain musculoskeletal orthopedic conditions, certain ones, they're more valuable. And then the way they do their math is strange, right? The remainder system. So, it shouldn't be difficult. You shouldn't have to have a strategy. The VA should just take care of it. Honestly, I should be working for the VA and helping people just like you, and it'd be so much more streamlined, and I'd be able to help a lot more people because they would just get handed to me, right? Instead, they do the opposite, right?
Yeah.
They cover down the system trying to save money, and they do save money, but at what cost? It's hurting people. And I think that's in our community too. When you struggle, like, let's imagine if you're going through a really hard time, right? Like, you've got, maybe a couple different incomes in your family and things are okay, making $170 a month after military, right?
Yeah.
But what if you're alone or shit gets tough? Like, I'm a very firm believer, and here gets into like the ethos of why. And it's not about money, because we don't make that much money if you think about it. The truth is that how do we prevent the worst case scenarios? Suicidality, just self-destructive behavior in general. It's not all about just suicide. Drinking yourself to death, domestic violence, reckless behavior, and just hopelessness, right? It's people sell bracelets, got these foundations and awareness. Like, that's great. I'm glad people do that. So I don't want to sound like a jerk. But let's get to the root of it. Is money will not bring you happiness. Benefits will not bring you happiness, but it sure as hell will prevent the worst case scenarios. If you know that you can pay your bills for the rest of your life, you may not live in a mansion because of, $50,000-$60,000 a year and education benefits and healthcare, but you have hope.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's what why I love talking to people and like ranting and venting on this stuff, is because this is why I do it. Because I've been through enough stuff in my own life that I was teetering at a point in my life. And it's like, I didn't give up, but some people do. And it's like, well, what am I really doing? Right. Because I'm an orthopedic surgery resident that didn't get to finish my residency in the Navy. I
Okay.
got kind of politically axed in a way. And it messed me up. Went through a lot of hard times that I feel like I didn't deserve. Right. So what do you do when adversity comes? You either got to, stand up to it and grind through and grit and bear it and come up with a plan going forward, or you become a victim and you just deconstruct, you
Yeah.
know? So like I got lucky. I had a few people around me who stuck with me, helped me out through the times. And like when I got out of the military about 2 years ago, I guess it's coming up on exactly 2 years now, which is crazy. I was so burned out, so just like exhale, like, oh my God, finally got out of it. I was going to have to go back, finish like my last year, actually half of a year of orthopedic surgery residency, but maybe have to repeat some of it because of the screw job that I got. And I was burned out. And I'm like, man, like I had this like vengeance tour. Like I wanted to get that just to prove to everybody, like, kind of fuck you. Like, you pissed on me, fucked me over. Like, I'll get back to what I do. And like, I didn't like that attitude because I'm like, am I doing this out of hate and spite and vengeance? I love the job. I loved orthopedic surgery, still do. But it just felt something wrong in my soul. It was like, what am I doing, God? Like, and like, I'm a believer. Like, there's no beating the bush around it. That's another thing I love about what I do is I get to be real. I don't
Yeah.
work for a hospital. I don't work for the government. I can talk about Jesus and I can talk about the Federal Reserve or whatever I want. Call
Yeah.
it like it is. Karma, I have no agenda other than just telling the truth the way I see it. And I was burned out. And I know so many people were because I saw it as a GMO because I went from orthopedics to primary care GMO with my tail between my legs. I was not doing good, going through a divorce, a bunch of crap, right? And with kids and long distance and some trouble. And I felt bad for myself, but I didn't try not to show it. But I was losing weight. I was miserable, started getting headaches, started like falling apart physically. Like I'm an athlete, like my whole life. I'm kind of a bro. Like I've always pushed through and been like a bro and athletic and like work hard at school and jobs. And
Yeah.
I was collapsing. And while I was collapsing on the job, pretty much like doing my job, but like going home and just like miserable. I just saw the other people struggling alongside of me, my patients, my colleagues, my friends, like all in one, right? And I just started helping them because like misery loves company. And I was just like, listen, like you shouldn't trust a lieutenant commander with like chest candy wearing the uniform. Like really, you can't talk about, mental health, for example, right? But like maybe you should. Like I look at these guys who I really respected, who weren't always in sick call, who didn't, tap out, never dropped their pack, but they were struggling. Like, and you say, hey, are you good? The classic, you good? And of course you have to say, yeah, I'm good. But it's all bullshit, right? Like, but I respected the people who did their job. Always went on the deployments or the debts, right? We didn't have a hot war, and that's another thing, going down the rabbit hole. Like we didn't have anything really to fight for, so to speak, right? It was just administrative or debts or preparing. I joined to fight and like support the fight as an orthopedic surgeon. We didn't really get that. And thank God, or, unlucky, however you look at it, right? And I just started helping people and I saw the system from a different angle because I was a surgeon trapped in primary care land. And I just saw how certain people, the best people, had nothing in their medical record.
Yeah.
But when they trusted me, which I built trust easy because I was just like this, like I actually didn't wear my uniform a lot because I thought that intimidated people. So I literally wore my scrubs, a pair of Vans, like, tattoos and like being just myself. I wasn't playing a character. I was just me. And like people opened up to me and like, oh, there's very, very important, hardworking people, high level senior enlisted and low and officers too, would like break down with me. And I was like, holy crap, I'm not a counselor. Like I went to med school. I'm a fucking orthopedic surgeon. Like it took the orthopedic surgeon to see there was a problem. Right. And so instead of trying to fix the system, which, that's one thing I'm glad what we're doing now is we're not trying to fix the VA. The VA needs to fix itself or somebody needs to do that. But the truth is that I've learned long ago that like you can't beat these government systems. Like look at today's like headlines, basically. You're not going to change it when there's money involved. And like that sounds pessimistic, but it's realistic.
Yeah.
So instead, one person at a time. And like when I got out of the military, I was like, I need a break. I'm going to take 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, maybe max, and like be with my family. Because I was going to have to move again to go back to residency somewhere I didn't know. And like, are they going to take me? Like, it's going to be 100-hour work weeks, which I didn't mind the work, but it's like, fuck, I've been doing this for 13 years. Like, and I'm a little beat up, like emotionally, spiritually, and physically, right? And medically. And in that time, I'm not a big prayer. I don't treat God like Santa Claus or anything like that. It's like, oh, give me this and that. I just think that's distasteful from my perspective. Good for those who pray, but I rarely do. But I did in that setting. Like, what do I do? Like, God, tell me what to do, because I'm like tempted. I want orthopedics. I want that lifestyle, that recognition, but I love the job too. And like, I've said this before to people, but people maybe think I'm a little kooky, but like, I do believe in the Holy Spirit. I do believe in God. And I almost heard it and saw it multiple times. I wasn't looking, like I didn't try to self-fulfill a prophecy or anything like that. And it was like, be still. I just kept coming to that, like, be still. We're trying to steer. We're trying to fix shit yourself, and just be still. And that was the scariest answer of all. I hated it, because it's like, would do nothing? Would be a bum? Like, what am I supposed to do? Right when I got out was when I got my VA disability rating. And that's like, I was like, okay, like, I'm going to just chill out. It's the only thing I had in front of me. I didn't have a job right at that point. I'd worked my whole life since I was 14, basically, as a caddy or mowing yards, all the way to, to where I was out of the military. So 20 plus years, never stopped. Played sports the whole way, all that stuff. Doesn't do anything. And all I had in front of me was this big ass document, the VA ratings decision letter. So naturally, being a little OCD and ADHD, I was like, perseverated on it, read it, right? Because I had gone through and done my claims like everybody else.
Right.
And it was riddled with mistakes. And I was like, because I didn't try to game the system, I literally just didn't give a shit. Like, I was so ready to get out, like most people, and that's the mistake. Just went through on my own and just told them the truth. And I mean, I was a doctor, like I knew my diagnoses. I went to a VSO because I'm like, I don't know how to do this shit, like click and clicks and VA interface. That's like MS-DOS, basically. Like, I don't know. I'm going to mess something up and they're going to all get denied, and I'm going to fuck it up myself, Murphy's Law style. So I leaned on a VSO. They didn't even get my diagnoses right, which I handed to them, right? But I got a great rating, the overall rating, but I read the details and I was amazed. And I've told this story to a lot of people, but my musculoskeletal ratings were the ones that I thought were like my biggest problems. The way I saw it, like literally had a fracture in training, in uniform. I was actually in uniform. Had to go like PT, go to ortho, get the x-rays. It was ironic because I was in ortho, so it's embarrassing kind of, but like had to, wear like the splints and all this stuff and like PT, OT, all that shit. Documented in the military, like doing something in the military for the job, not just like, oh, I happen to be in and like wreck my motorcycle, which whatever, they get covered too. But like, the VA denied it. It's not like they said, oh yes, but it's a 0%, right? Like, oh, it's not that bad. I would have understood that. Like, okay, you believe that, whatever. And I wouldn't have touched it. They said it wasn't service connected. And I'm like, huh? And again, I don't tell this to many people, but I got 100% out of the gate. Because I literally just gave them all my documents and like, why did this get a high rating and this thing that was an obvious thing not even get service connected?
Yeah.
And so like now I had this pension, basically like a disability pension, sitting there and going, holy crap. I started researching it. Nobody told us about this. When you do your exit, I'm sure you remember, what is it, like capstone, cornerstone, I don't know what you guys call it, the Marines, but you were a Marine, right?
I was, yeah. Yeah, we had.
We always read, but my grandfather's side note was Frozen Chosen, and he was the youngest of 5 from Alabama. He joined when he was 17, did the whole thing, like lied about his age, like pushed in early, and his brothers were all Pacific Theater, like Guadalcanal. So like that's why I joined the Navy, was because I was gonna go, like I wanted to be like recon and be a badass. When 9/11 happened, I was 14, and my grandfather, who was Frozen Chosen, was like, the fuck, I never heard him cuss, like Bible beating Baptist, basically, was like, the fuck you're gonna, enlist, like you're going to college. Like, fuck that. So like I scared the shit out of me. So I did. I listened to him. Like, he was my hero, one of my heroes. And so I went to college, joined the Navy, and obviously big Navy, like, we take care of the Marines, which I loved. Like that's what I wanted to be. So I always had a special place, and I served with the Marines for a couple of years, 4 years actually, after orthopedics. And, I couldn't believe that I got 100%. I felt like an imposter, even though everything was like true. I didn't inflate it. I did everything like minimalist.
Mhm.
And like you, it's like behavioral health, big one. Migraines was some GI stuff I had, big one. Some of the orthopedic stuff, it like got nothing or got denied. I'm like, what? Like I can't fucking run hardly anymore. When I sleep, I got like hip troubles, my ankle, like my shoulders fucked, my fingers got broke. Like I had all these things. I'm like, oh, those are like 10%ers probably, maybe. Like that's fine. Had some radiculopathy, like all the things, and they got like nothing. And yet some of these key issues that I didn't know were key at the time that I happen to also have got 50% rating, 7% rating, 30% rating. I'm like,
Wow.
the fuck kind of system is this? So I literally reached out to a bunch of people that I had done med boards for, right? Back in the day, I probably did 100 med boards or so. And like, some of them reached out and said, thanks, doc. Like, for getting me separated and retired, like with coverage. Because if you lose that, you're fucked. You're like admin. So I learned that system, how to argue. But they were all like telling me their ratings. And a lot of them got, 100% or higher. But then some people were like low. And I'm like, well, what made up your rating? So I just started polling my audience of friends. No intention of doing this as a job, let me tell you. And like for the folks who I knew who had like less than 100%, I was like, dude, let me just like write you a letter, right? I'm like, at that point, that's archaic way to do it. But I just started like, say, send me your RDLs and let's do this, right?
Yeah.
And this is during that period where I'm like, just don't go into ortho right now. Like breathe for a second, be happy with your family. And then one friend who I help, of course, if you help, like if you mow a yard or do something, a job for someone, you help a buddy, help my buddy's buddy, right? That's how it works. And like, I wasn't charging my friends because like it felt weird, right? And because I worked in the military, like everything was free, it's included. And at that point, I'm like, well, I like doing it and helping people, but like I should probably charge something. Like I don't know, I believe in karma too, right? Like it's part of it, like treat people well. The golden rule. Like I really try to live by that shit. I'm not, Mother Teresa or a perfect person by any means. I cuss like a sailor and act like one too sometimes, but like frat boy too. But the truth is like, I was like, the last thing I want to do is do something to cheat people or take advantage of people. Like it's not my intent here. But all right, I need to figure out how much to charge. Like I don't know. Like I was just learning like, oh, like there's all these things like DBQs, Nexus letters, like I don't want to get like follow the results and I don't know what to do. So I Googled it, and like anything you don't know how to do, like YouTube it, right? Like how to fix a car, like how to fix a transmission, you Google that shit first, right? Like that's how stupid and archaic it was. So I did it, clicked it in, like, and I was like, oh, this is a fancy website. That seems good. But I realized like nobody posted their prices. And like that's all I was after. I was just like, whatever they charge, I'm gonna charge half. Like, cause I'm just some dude. Like I'm not trying to like be a company or some shit. And I realized too, like I'm not Rain Man, but like I pick up on patterns pretty well. And it was like law firm, law firm, law firm, law firm, law firm, like LLC, but run by a law firm. So I was like, those motherfuckers, I see what they're doing. So I called a couple of these people, and I won't say which companies, and maybe 5, I think. And it took forever to get answers. It seemed shady. I was being shady a little too, because I'm like, I didn't lie, but I'm like, I'm interested in like your services. How much do they cost? Because I already had 100%.
Yeah.
And like finally I started getting answers, and it was like we talked about a minute ago, like hidden fees, back pays, all this stuff. And so like I settled on my price, which is super low, and I'm like just started running. One guy who I helped, this is kind of the origin story, and then I'll shut the fuck up. I tend to do this. But one guy who I helped was like, hey, like I know this guy named Cole Tenney. And at the time it was Mill to Million. It was his, after he got out of the military, his company. And I kind of laughed at the name. I'm like, Mill to Millions. I was like, that sounds like a payday company. Like, like JG Wentworth, 877 cash now. Like they got a jingle. I literally dogged it without knowing, right? He's like, no, like Matt, like he's like you, like he's legit human being. Like he's not a lawyer, like this kind of stuff. I was like, So you got to call and talk to me, starting this new like company's had this company, but it's like infantile stage.
Mhm.
And so we talked for like 3 hours, and like I read people well. I know when people want something from me, like I'm a doctor, right? Like just get to the cut to the chase. Like, what do you want? And he didn't want anything. He wanted just to talk. By the end of the conversation, like we laid the groundwork for what M2M became, and now we rebranded under woobie, right? Like, we got you covered. Like it's one of the best piece articles you're issued when you're in, the Marine Corps or the Navy, for more Marine Corps and Army. But like, I like that name better. But Multimillion spoke, truth to the reality was, what we were trying to do was never become a law firm entity,
Mhm.
always be transparent with pricing and actions, promise nothing, right? Because we don't control it. How
Yeah.
can you promise what you do not control? Like that's disingenuous. So to people out there, I can't promise you jack shit.
Mhm.
What I can promise you is that I will work hard and keep fighting the bastards, because that's what they are. They cheat. They're run by lawyers too, right? And like they don't put their names on stuff. People get cheated over and over. And I've seen 10,000 probably at this point, maybe multiple thousands, but close to 10,000 ratings decisions from people. And then I have the benefit as a doctor looking at the evidence if they give it to me. And it's like this whole system is like a Ponzi scheme. It's off. So I digress, because like I'm passionate about what we do, and
Mhm.
like I get guys like you on here, and like I just want to like scream from the top of the mountain, like I don't want your money. Like I don't even care, but like be smart. Like use our resources, get on Reddit, use everything you can, but like at some point you might need help. And if you do, like we are here to help you. And
Yeah.
so what would you all close? Because I just rambled for 30 minutes. I feel like, Alex Jones or something, like spouting it. But like, the truth is like, what would you tell people if they came across a buddy who said, hey man, like I work with Millions or woobie, or came across an ad or across, like, what would you tell them about us and like encourage them here?
I would just say to trust you guys and kind of trust the process. I think you even told me that a couple times, like just trust process. I think just hearing your background and everything helped a lot, and the way you broke everything down, the way you guys have it set up, where then you have like a someone you can text at any time with questions. Your personal success. Brett, that was a huge help, and it's just I would tell them I think feel supported the whole time, like it's a community, and I feel like I could feel like you guys were working for me. Like so I would say just kind of follow what you guys do because it works. So you guys know what you're doing and you guys are really good at it. So.
Yeah, not many companies, I learned this as well, have a physician that's licensed and was in the military in the middle of the company. Actually, name me one that does, that actually deals with the operation instead of outsourcing it to, some, no offense to PAs or nurse practitioners, because they're good too, but like outsources it to non-military providers that are just like a document factory. And
Yeah.
that's why that industry gets a bad name, claim shark, like, because it is. Like those people are disingenuous. Medical should be at the center of the company.
Hmm.
And find me another company and I want to work with them. I don't even care. Like, with woobie, I'm not trying to outcompete people. I'm just trying to take care of people one at a time in our expand our reach. But name a company that talks about strategy, that talks about medical, that talks from a place of not only like experience and credentials, but also with like predictive analytics and like tech savviness. Like
Yeah.
the next wave of woobie is going to be insanely good, because we're reinvesting in ourselves, right? We're not paying ourselves, trying to get rich quick kind of stuff. We're building something big. I don't want to give all the, stuff away before it happens to our competitors. And that's fine. Like bring it on. Like if you're trying to bring us down, like shame on you. But like, if we're all in the same community, like everybody should be doing this, using data, because it's 2025. Like ChatGPT is just like the surface of the ability of AI and predictive analytics. Use data and analytics to guide the way, not to just tell you what to do, because you still need that human element, that human interface, treat people like, talk to me, talk to our team that are people, but also use the things we have. So, I'm really excited about the future. So Dude,
That's
I talk too much, but like I'm super, super happy for you, sincerely. This is like when I say I look forward to this stuff, I texted you a few like before we started. I'm like, you still want to do it? Like, because like I look forward to this stuff because like a lot of it's not fun to get into VA records and medical records and documents and arguing all the time. This is why I do it
yeah,
because like you're set up for the rest of your life and not I say this too to a lot of people, like, I'll do it here on camera with you, but like, don't just coast, right? You could do nothing, but like, build, build a company, be a better dad, be a better stepdad. I'm a stepdad too. Building, invest in yourself, your hobbies, your health, all the things, your career, use the benefits to your advantage, just help other people. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but like, not even just with VA, just like make our community, don't ever turn your back on our community,
yeah,
right? Help people,
yeah,
help people. It doesn't have to be just referring them to us. That's great. Would love to help your friends and family and people like that, but just help people. Like
yeah,
this is not hidden information. So that's my charge to you is just run with it, my friend.
yeah. Well, I appreciate it, and thank you for everything you guys did. Like you said, it's a huge difference. Very, I would say, life changing for sure for me, my wife, our family. So, thank you for
You're
everything.
welcome. You're absolutely welcome, and God bless you. And stay in touch, man. I'd love to catch up sometime.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good one, bro.
You too.